Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Think career panel for the National Day of Learning, proudly presented by the Carol Kimmelman Athletic and Academic Campus and powered by Zoom. I'm Dr. Jennifer Winward, and I'm the founder and CEO of Winward Academy. We are proud to support the Kimmelman campus and its national initiatives to boost college and career readiness for students around the country. I could not be more excited to host the Let's Think panel and to chat with two incredibly impressive and accomplished women in STEM who will share more about their careers and tips for all of you joining us. Now, before we begin, I'd like to echo the sentiments of Dan Faber in the Let's Inspire panel and share a bit more about the Kimmelman campus. So the Kimmelman campus provides academic and athletic opportunities for tens of thousands of students and families across the United States, working with school districts to deliver computers, athletic equipment, English and math curriculum, college and career readiness resources, and professional development for STEM instructors. Now, these projects are possible thanks to partnerships with the U.S. Tennis Association, the U.S. Tennis Association Foundation, Tiger Woods' charity, the TGR Foundation, and Winward Academy. And also thanks to the generous support of the Kimmelman Family Foundation and Martha and Bruce Karsh. Now, because I emailed personally with so many of the teachers and college counselors and school leaders who encouraged all of you to join us today, I do want to give a special shout out to KIPP, Ednovate, College Track, Avid, Great Oaks Legacy, and all of the other great schools for being with us. Truly, on behalf of everyone supporting the Kimmelman campus, we appreciate the trust that you place in us with your students. Now, as we start our Let's Think panel, I first want to thank those in the community who made this panel possible. Today's National Day of Learning is powered by Zoom, and in addition to the partners listed earlier, is supported by the Manitou Fund, the Jack and Gloria Kramer Family Foundation, and Toyota. So we, of course, want to give them a huge thank you for being an integral part of today. Now, as we start our Let's Think panel, I first want to thank those in the community. I'm sorry. I was going back to what I said on the prior slide. So speaking of people who are making today possible, there are two wonderful students from USC Hybrid High School in Los Angeles who are joining me today to help moderate this discussion. So I want to introduce them to you, tell you a little bit more about them. So Ramon is a senior who is going to be attending USC in the fall. He is the co-president of the medical club, a student council representative, and a candidate for dual honors in the senior thesis and fieldwork internship programs. For his thesis, so he actually did a thesis as a senior in high school, he is researching the impact of gentrification on South Central Los Angeles, and his internship is with the nonprofit Sages and Seekers. So next, a little bit about Mia. Mia is a junior who has many leadership roles at her high school. She is the co-president of the CEO's Club and a leader of the advisory student inclusion and equity team. She was recently accepted into an honors fieldwork and teacher's assistant program and will be working next year as a staff assistant. For her fieldwork, she is hoping to secure an internship in the field of criminal law. Now, Ramon, Mia, and I will have the distinct privilege today of chatting with two impressive females in STEM. So joining us are Kelly Vlahakis-Hanks, the president and CEO of ECOS, and Dr. Shai Brown, a senior scientist at the Gatorade Sports Science Institute. Now, we're going to put a link in the chat where you can read more about their backgrounds in case that inspires any questions that you'd like to ask in the chat or in the Q&A. So let me tell you a little bit more about Kelly and Dr. Shai, and then we're going to welcome everybody to get started. So first, a little bit more about Kelly. So Kelly leads ECOS, which makes plant-powered cleaning products in the United States and Europe that are sold around the world. ECOS, this is very cool, is the only woman-owned, Black-owned, nationally distributed green cleaning products brand in the country. As the head of ECOS, Kelly is continually breaking barriers in green science and showing that business can champion both positive change and be successful. Now, Dr. Shai is an expert in biochemistry and exercise physiology research. Very cool. At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, she works as a lead biochemist, overseeing research, analyzing sweat biochemical samples, and developing protocols for the Gatorade sweat patch. Dr. Shai also founded a nonprofit called Building Bridges, which was designed to expose, equip, and empower young girls to pursue STEM. So what I'd like to do now is welcome everyone to please turn on their cameras and microphones to join me, and we're going to jump right into the conversation. I think that Mia is ready with the first question. So welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us here.
Thank you for having us. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. All right, Mia, do you want to go ahead and get us started?
Yeah. So Ms. Vlahakis-Hanks, ECOS is known as a leader in sustainability and manufacturing and green chemistry. And you have received the USA EPA Safer Choice Partner of the Year award for many years. And you're the first company in the world to achieve the sustainability trifecta. What does this mean, and what is the significance of this?
Oh, Mia, thank you for that question. So, absolutely, ECOS is committed to producing the greenest products in the marketplace and to doing it in the most sustainable manner possible. So for the trifecta, all 4 of our manufacturing facilities across the country are carbon neutral, they're water neutral, and they're platinum zero waste. And I'm sure many of you can imagine how hard it is to get to zero waste in your homes. So as a manufacturing platform where we're servicing some of the nation's largest retailers, right? You buy ECOS at Walmart, at Sam's, at Costco. We've made a commitment to divert more than 95% of our waste from the landfills, because we truly believe that businesses must take a stand on protecting our planet. Our company's been around for 54 years, so we were green long before green was cool or trendy. It was actually started by my father in 1967. He came to this country from Greece, $20 in his pocket, didn't speak the English language, lived in homeless shelters, but had a deep and abiding belief that we must do better, we must be better, and that so many of the chemicals in traditional cleaning products were so toxic to human health and the health of our planet. I joined the company back in 2003. We were a very small company at that time, still making products by hand, certainly not with the 4 facilities we have today, and the brand that you guys may know. But really staying true to those initial convictions and the initial mission of the company, to create a company to protect people, pets, and the planet by creating really sustainable, authentic, and affordable cleaning products that were healthy for our consumers was important. You mentioned the EPA. Right now, as I sit here on this call with everybody, cleaning products are one of the areas that are not regulated at all. So they can put whatever toxic ingredients they want in cleaning products. There is no FDA, there is no regulatory group to police what goes into a cleaning product. And we now know that so many of the ingredients in cleaning products are linked to cancer, to asthma, to nerve and organ damage. So it's super important that US EPA certification of green chemistry, because it says that a third party has checked to make sure that we're using the greenest ingredients, that we're innovating in terms of green science, that we're doing the right thing. And so I think it's critically important as a business to really do the right thing for your consumers. And I think businesses that do the right thing, protect the health and wellness of their consumers and the planet, will be rewarded in the long run. And I brought a quick 1-minute video just to really kind of showcase what it means to be a climate positive manufacturer, because on April 1st of this year, in honor of the kickoff of Earth Month, we announced that we would be the first climate positive manufacturer in the country. And that means that we're not just going to be sustainable or neutral, but that we actually want to give back more than we take. So this 1-minute video will kind of illustrate that sentiment and that commitment of our entire ECOS team.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Thank you.
What does it mean to be climate positive? At Ecos, it starts with our plant-powered ingredients, brought to our clean chemistry lab, where we practice sustainable science. Then to our factories, where we reduce our waste by 95%, run on 100% renewable energy, and conserve 28 million pounds of CO2 per year. Then we use low-emission shipping partners to share Ecos with the world. Any environmental impact we've had up to this point, we offset. But we want to do more for the planet, so we restore even more than we use, like 12 million gallons of water to endangered habitats, and investing in clean wind energy projects, leaving the world better than we found it. 110% better, to be exact. That's how every clean with Ecos becomes a climate positive clean. So you can feel positively good. One simple act at home can save our home planet. Learn more about being climate positive at ecos.com.
So that kind of gives you a feeling of that commitment. And I saw a few of the questions coming in the chat, and I'll just quickly say, I saw several of you ask about animals. We never test on animals at Ecos. I saw somebody mention that you need toxic ingredients to do the cleaning, and I would assure you that cleaning should never, ever mean spreading toxins around your home or around your workplace or around your schools. You can definitely clean, which means to remove the germs, viruses, or bacteria in a safe manner without using toxic ingredients. We're using plant-based ingredients, someone asked in the chat, things like coconut as our primary surfactant or cleaning agent, all sorts of beautiful ingredients that come from nature that do a wonderful job.
That's great. That was a great background. And thank you too for addressing some of the questions coming in the chat. Ramon, I think that you have the next question for Dr. Shai.
Yes. So Dr. Shai, your research sounds both fascinating and complicated at the same time. Many of us likely don't understand all the research that goes into Gatorade's products. Could you explain your work and tell us why it's so important?
Of course. So just to give you guys a background about Gatorade Sports Science Institute. So since 1985, and I refer to it as GSSI, GSSI has committed to helping athletes optimize their health and performance through research and education through hydration and nutrition science. GSSI scientists, we study the effects of nutrition on the human body before, during, and after exercise. And our aim is to provide athletes with advice and products, and I would say Gatorade products, that help their performance and achieve their goals. Our GSSI team, we conduct research in lab facilities and on the field, and we pretty much examine those questions that are related to hydration and nutrition needs of the athletes. So with me working with GSSI, I conduct research in the lab, which is a controlled environment set up by scientists, as well as on the field, which is the athlete's natural environment. My duties may include pretty much monitoring an athlete on a bike or a treadmill, observing data such as their heart rate, and most importantly, collecting sweat. Now you may ask, why would I want to collect someone's sweat? Like, isn't that gross? Well, GSSI, that is what we care about. We care about the athlete's sweat. Why? Well, collecting the sweat of an athlete, it allows me to help determine how much the athlete sweats during the exercise. And through biochemical analysis, I can also determine the electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, and chloride, how much of that is lost in the body also during exercise. And pretty much the purpose of doing all this is to help the athlete come up with a recommendation plan to rehydrate and replenish. Why is that important? Well, because hydration is important for athletic performance, and due to an athlete working out, their body is creating heat, which is thus leading to sweating. So I just want to tell you a little bit about my research, and the majority of my research with GSSI has led to like a really pretty cool innovative product that I've been very, very proud to work on. And it's called the GX Sweat Patch. And I have it actually right here. Very, very cool work. I've spent pretty much all of my time working with GSSI on this cool patch. And it was just released this year. And so pretty much it's a wearable patch that collects your sweat during exercise, and it creates this particular sweat profile for you in connection with the GX app. And it's all you have to do is simply take your phone, put the patch on your arm before your work out for 30 minutes or more, and take a picture of that patch using the app. And it's a pretty cool technology that's going to give you your sweat profile. And I'm so glad that I've been able to contribute to that and put forth all the work into helping that come to life.
That's great. Someone just wrote in the chat, is it like a sponge? Is that kind of how you?
No, it's not like a sponge, but I will tell you, in order to test creating this patch, GSSI, we have our own way of collecting sweat. And the way we would collect sweat is using a patch that resembles almost like a Band-Aid. And so we would collect sweat using that and pretty much testing this technology. And it's pretty much like a flat surface. It's like a thin film. So it's not a Band-Aid. You can barely feel it on your arm.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
So I would love to ask Kelly the next question. So first, huge congratulations, because you were recently named Entrepreneur Magazine, or one of Entrepreneur Magazine's most powerful women. And while that's wonderful and celebratory, I want to ask you, because you also likely feel some responsibility that comes with an honor like that. And so how have you kind of used this award to accelerate change?
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for that question. You know, certainly being honored is a great privilege, and there absolutely comes responsibility with any time you're recognized. How are you going to use your platform? How will you use your voice? How will you lift up others? What is your responsibility? And so I feel wholeheartedly it's my responsibility to show what business can be and should be. We've done a lot of things at ECOS. Back in 2014, we took our minimum wage to $17 an hour. So if you're a high school student, if you're a college student, if you've just started working for us, our minimum wage is $17 an hour because we believe in fair living wages. We have all sorts of green incentives for our employees. So if you get into an electric vehicle, you get $2,500. If you put solar panels on your rooftop, you get $2,500. If you relocate close to our facility, so you're reducing commute times, you get a bonus. We've also built really diverse leadership teams because I truly believe to serve the consumers, you must have a company that accurately reflects your consumers. And so if you look at our leadership teams at ECOS, 52% of our C-suite is comprised of women, 41% is BIPOC, 70% of our STEM teams, our scientists, our green chemists, our research and developers are women. So we really have a diverse company as well. And so really for me, being honored is a wonderful thing, but really the greatest honor I have is to lead a company that is environmentally and socially responsible. And consumers must know that every time they go to the store, they vote with their dollars. You guys all work hard for your money. And so you want to make sure to vote for brands that are aligned with your values. Do they support what you believe in? Because it's a very powerful tool to support those companies, because then companies must change. They must respond to the needs of their consumers. And I think, consumers are tired of the fact that so many companies have been focused on short-term profits rather than long-term value for all stakeholders.
Yeah, I like what you said about how every single day, all of us, right, as consumers, what do? We vote with our dollars, right? That's a really powerful statement that you don't really think about when you go to the grocery store, or when you go to Target, or when you go to the mall, right? But that is something that's great for young people to hear, that even at their age, I mean, when you believe in a company and you believe in its mission and you support what they do, right, you have the ability to do that every day.
You really do. And it's with your dollars, it's with your voice. Social media now is one of the great democratizing platforms because everyone has access and the consumer's voice can be so loud. And, our youth, they're not just leaders of the future, they're leaders right now. Their peers are listening. Other generations are listening. What do they have to say? What do they care about? Companies care about what they care about. And so they can really amplify their voices online and when they go in stores to make sure that companies really are answering their needs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Ramon, I think you have the next question.
Yes. So Dr. Shai, many of us are soon starting our career path, and it could be quite tricky. So my question for you is: did you always know what you wanted to do in a career, and how did you get started, and what path did you follow? As well as, sorry for the bombarding questions. I'll give you a chance to answer all. But final question is also: was there anything you learned along the way that would help us as we start our own career paths?
Well, Ramon, did I always know what I wanted to do in a career? Not really. But I've always knew that I like science. I love science growing up. And I remember participating in science fairs in elementary and middle school. And in high school, I enjoyed human anatomy and physiology. I always liked dissecting. I love doing that. And so after graduating high school, I chose to start my path at a community college. So Meridian Community College in Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi, grew up, born and raised. And I went there to become a nurse. Well, that didn't work out as I hoped. I did not pass the first semester of nursing school. So I got into nursing school and I didn't pass. Well, as high school student, always getting A's, that was very devastating for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't pass nursing school the very first semester. What am I going to do? And so I thought I literally had failed. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I failed. Like after high school, first semester in nursing school. But it didn't turn out to be that way. So I ended up graduating from that community college and I ended up getting a scholarship to Jackson State University, which is a historically Black college and university. And once I got there, I was then set on becoming a medical doctor. It's like, okay, I want to be a medical doctor. And you know what? I pretty much said, okay, I want to be a pediatric surgeon because I like doing surgery. I like working with kids. I want to be a pediatric surgeon. This time, I actually didn't take the MCAT, which is the medical college admissions test. The reason why I didn't take the MCAT, I was afraid to take the MCAT. I did all this prep. I did a special MCAT prep course, still did not take the MCAT. I'm like, okay, so why was I afraid to take the MCAT? Maybe because I was afraid of failing again because I didn't pass the first semester of nursing school. Well, maybe I was afraid. Maybe I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to fail again. But you know what? I'm glad I did not allow that sense of failure or fear or just stop me from my next opportunity. And so long story short, I got involved in a research program at Jackson State University. It was geared towards computational biology, which is the science of learning biological data by doing mathematical modeling. So I got involved in that. That led to a lot of different opportunities. Whereas after I graduated from Jackson State, I moved to Washington and I did an internship at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. I stayed there for 2.5 years, decided, you know what? I need to go to grad school. I got my master's, I got my PhD in biological sciences. And so I sit before you today because of all of those different opportunities. So I would say from all of that, I learned that failures lead to triumphs. What I thought was a failure was eventually a setup for my next opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for sharing kind of all of those details from your journey. It sounds like too that getting or that what I kind of heard was that a pivotal point for you was that when you got involved at your university, when you got involved with research, that was perhaps a pivotal experience for you that then took you to the next place. Like, did you have mentors who were really critical at that juncture? Or what do you think shifted for you from kind of the initial fear to then being willing to take on a master's and a PhD program, right? Which is just as impressive as going to medical school.
Yeah, I actually did have a mentor. So my mentor ended up being, his name is Dr. Raphael Sopihi from Jackson State University. Um, he was that mentor that helped prepare me to doing research, and then even going to conferences, making sure that my resume is up to date, making sure I have a business card as an undergraduate student. So just giving me those pieces of information. At the time, I was doing it, but at the same time, like, I really don't want to do this, but I'm glad I did because it paid off in the long run. And then just networking was another part of it, and just not being afraid to say hi to people and introduce myself, because you never know who you're going to meet.
That's great. Well, hopefully Mia and Ramon and all the other students on the call heard that. You guys need to get going with your business cards, your LinkedIn profiles, just kind of getting ready to put yourself out there, right? That's great. So Mia, do you want to ask Ms. Vlahakis-Hanks the next question?
Yeah. So Ms. Vlahakis-Hanks, what is environmental justice and what work do you and ECOS do in this area?
Thank you. So environmental justice really acknowledges the fact that the burdens of pollution and climate change disproportionately affect underserved communities and communities of color, and that the benefits of the environmental movement oftentimes doesn't serve those same communities. Benefits like green jobs, organic food, green cleaning products. And so we've made it a real focus at ECOS to make sure to take a big stand in the environmental justice space. Now, first of all, it's who we've always been all along, right? So oftentimes people said that green was for the affluent or it was too expensive. And we have always worked hard to make sure that green products are accessible and affordable. So if you went into, let's say, Walmart or Sam's or Costco, or wherever you do your grocery shopping, you're going to see our products are the opening price point, meaning that they're not more expensive than any of the other cleaning products there, that they're less expensive than the conventional cleaning products there, because we never want anyone to walk into a store and feel like they have no choice but to buy a toxic product because they can't afford a clean or a green product. We also partner with all sorts of organizations. So this past April, for the third year in a row, we partnered with Green for All. If you guys know Green for All, it was founded by Van Jones, one of my favorite people. And he founded this organization really to create a green economy strong enough to lift people out of poverty. And so we make sure to give a portion of all of our sales to Green for All and the wonderful work they do in various communities. We partner with a lot of great advocates of environmental justice, like Black Girl Environmentalist, Green Girl Leah, Avrata. I mean, there's so many wonderful, really influential and powerful young people in the environmental justice space, giving scholarships to young people. We even have a chief youth officer who runs our programs for our younger team members to really make sure that their voices are heard, their voices are at the table, and that we're really leaning into the environmental justice space. Because we must ensure equality for everyone, and the right to a healthy home and the right to a healthy planet is another civil right we should all be focused on.
So Kelly, something came into the chat, and I think that we have a future marketing officer for ECOS joining us today. This student asked you, so your team is like the voice for the earth. I like
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. I love to think of it. So, I mean, Team Ecos is actually Greek for the word home. So if you think of ecology, it's the study of home or the study of our shared planet. And so Ecos is really about home, and everyone on our team is really focused on protecting our planet. I have to give a big shout out too to my VP of Sustainability. She has her PhD in life cycle analysis and her PhD in education. And I would literally show up at work, and this woman would be inside our trash bins with a plastic water bottle, walking around saying, "Who did it? Who did it?" Like, that level of commitment she had was so powerful in terms of even changing an organization like ours that is focused on being green, that is focused on doing the right thing. There's always room for improvement. And so having her really leading our team, she's been with us since 2008, has been wonderful in terms of achieving carbon neutrality and water neutrality and zero waste and these initiatives.
That's great. And I do have a question for Dr. Brown, but before I ask, I have one follow-up with you. You mentioned when you were just chatting that you have a chief youth officer. Did I say that right? At your company. That is so cool. What does this student do?
We do. So I will tell you, she first interned with us when she was 16 years old. She applied for the internship through Girl Scouts. She was a Girl Scout, and she applied for the internship. She interned with us. Brilliant young woman. Anushka is her name. And she ended up getting accepted early action to Harvard University. She put on the very first Harvard Environmental Action Leadership Summit. I mean, an unbelievably talented young woman. And she accepted our role of Chief Youth Officer during her sophomore year. And it's really important because she sits at the table with all of our executives and is making sure that we're addressing the concerns of the younger generations. This is the planet they will inherit. The decisions we make are affecting all of you every day. Call on us to make the right decisions for you.
Yeah, that's fabulous. It definitely means that Dr. Shai Gatorade and Windward Academy, we're going to have to get it together and get our chief youth officer positions filled here so we can do something similar and just really elevate that youth voice. I think that's just fabulous. Well, Dr. Shai, kind of speaking of elevating the voices of youth, I know that you are incredibly involved with supporting young people in STEM, right? Creating opportunities and exposure for them. Can you share a little bit more about this work, and maybe what's a specific story that you think would inspire the students joining us today?
Yeah. So just to give you more detail about that, I'm the founder and president of a nonprofit called Building Bridges. And Building Bridges is designed to expose, equip, and empower young girls to pursue STEM through self-awareness education. And so the purpose of Building Bridges is to pretty much inspire and encourage young Black girls to practice positive self-affirmations that propel them towards their purpose as empowered women in STEM. And so through exposure, we increase the awareness of STEM-related careers through our volunteers that are STEM professionals. We equip young Black girls through preparation of STEM topics with our tailor-made STEM programs, such as the Science Behind Hair and Love the Skin That You're In. And last, we empower by providing encouragement and self-awareness through positive affirmations. And so I do have a success story. Is very near and dear to my heart that I would like to share. And so last year, right before the pandemic, February 2020, Building Bridges, we were at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, and we were part of the Black Creativity Showcase. So our station, we feature our Love the Skin You're In STEM program, which is pretty much talking about the science and the biology behind skin. And so participants would come up to our table and they got a chance to make their own sugar scrubs. Well, after that event was over with, I had someone from the Museum of Science and Industry reach out to me, and they sent me a link. And they said, I think you guys want to check this out. I said, okay. Well, I clicked on the link. It was to sunflower sugar scrubs. And this young girl had her story on how she got started. And she mentioned us. So basically, she came to our station, made her own sugar scrub. And within 2 weeks later, she started her own business. She became an entrepreneur. like, wow. So I reached out to her last summer and I had a conversation with her. I'm like, oh my gosh, so what really inspired you to do this? She was like, well, I was just at you guys' table and you guys were so nice and I made my own sugar scrub. And I walked away telling myself that, you know what? I could do something for myself. I could make sugar scrubs. I could start a business. I could be an entrepreneur. And that was just so amazing just to for us to be at that event and we're talking about the biology behind skin and participants are making their sugar scrubs. And she got so empowered to start her own business and become an entrepreneur. So a very happy success story for our organization.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure Mia and Ramon, because I know both of your backgrounds and you guys are both so involved in your high schools and are such great role models for your peers. Hopefully you guys have had similar kind of your own sugar scrub, right, type of moments, right, where you've been similarly really inspired to do something on your own or to take initiative. And so yeah, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Ramon, do you want to ask the next question?
Yes. Miss Vlahakis-Hanks, is there anything in your life that you felt held you back, or perhaps a moment in time where you had to persevere to overcome that certain challenge?
Absolutely. I love something that Dr. Shai said earlier. She said that with, failures come some of our greatest triumphs. And it's such an important message because, I can assure you, we all will have so many failures throughout our lifetimes. And it's so important to persevere and to allow those moments to make us stronger, to make us fight harder, to make us really focus on what's really important, what is our greatest passion, what does fuel us. And that, I think, really drives great success in life. So a little bit about my life. I grew up in a small town in Illinois, a town of 3,000 people, much smaller than the 40,000 student university I went to when I went to UCLA. And I grew up there with my mom, a single mom. I mentioned earlier, my father was from Greece. My mom was African American. I had wonderful parents, but they never stayed together. My father lived in California, so I lived with my mother there. And I had such a wonderful mom. She had an unbelievably difficult life growing up in 12 different foster homes, so many challenges, yet she really was a true epitome of someone who saw everything she didn't want to be and really was the mother that she had wished she had had. And so a really wonderful childhood with her, but she was very ill when I was very young and battled cancer all throughout my high school years. And I always really thought about the fact that I wanted to make a difference, that I wanted to make sure that other children didn't suffer as I suffered watching my mom so ill. And I'm grateful she made it through my high school years. I still lost her when she was very young. But I too, in that moment, wanted to become a doctor because I really wanted to work in the field of oncology. And how could I really tackle cancer? And how could I really make sure to do something? And so when I got accepted to UCLA, that was my initial dream and focus. But I recognized that I really loved communications and telling stories and building brands and all of these other things. And I saw great opportunity in the business that my father had built at the time to do something that was equally important. It was about prevention. So it might not be about curing cancer, but what can we do on the front side to prevent getting cancer? What are the things that we can protect ourselves from? And so when I joined the company in 2003 and really fought hard to build a very small family business at that time, it was really with the conviction that consumers have a right to know. We just celebrated Earth Day. You guys probably know, on April 22nd. The first Earth Day was in 1970. When they did that, they created the Environmental Protection Agency. That agency grandfathered in 82,000 chemicals, never checked for human health and safety. And just imagine that. And many of those chemicals are still in commerce today. When the TSCA Reform Acts came out, they said that the government would check 10 chemicals a year for human health and safety. I mean, what is that? 10 chemicals. So you realize that there's a lot of work to be done in the consumer product space. And, I think those early experiences with my mom really fueled me to fight hard and to fight hard for what's right. And that's why I spend a lot of time at the state level or the federal level fighting for things like the Cleaning Products Right to Know Act. If we're not going to regulate chemicals that go into cleaning products, let's at least require the disclosure of ingredients. It's unbelievable that in 2021, the United States does not require cleaning products to disclose ingredients. So when you go in the store and you pick up a product and you look at the label, you might see skulls and crossbones, but you don't even know what's in it. And the reality is, you wash your plates and glasses, you drink out of that glass, you eat off of that plate, and those chemicals are leaching into your food, into your water, and the cumulative effect is linked to illness. It's undoubtedly so. Or you're washing your clothes, and it's being absorbed through your skin because there's all these toxic residues on your clothing that your skin is absorbing. It's the largest organ in your body. And so I think it really is, as you in your life encounter different hardships and those things really start to define what's important to you, use those moments as pivotal moments in your life to really structure your life to create positive change, right? Allow it to really inspire you to do better, be better, aspire for more, dream for more. You have the power to really change your lives. And I think my mother was a wonderful example of that. And it was truly inspirational to me. And certainly my journey to really fight for cleaner ingredients, more transparency in the cleaning product space is in a large part fueled by wanting to protect others.
Yeah, and I like what you shared too about how you had this vision of wanting to be an oncologist to address, issues like cancer because of what you experienced with your mom. And then you found a way to still do that, but to do more of the prevention angle versus the treatment angle, right?
Yes.
So it's really powerful to hear how, because all of the people joining us right now, right? We all have stories, we all have backgrounds, we all have experiences, and you don't always know exactly how things are going to turn out, right? Dr. Shai even shared earlier, right? A path can kind of squiggle around more than you expect. But when you have at your core of what you do every day, there's something that you're really passionate about or something that really matters to you, right? That can be such a great compass that we all follow throughout our professional careers.
Absolutely. I mean, and when you're passionate about something, you're unstoppable. I mean, every single day you can imagine I'm competing with corporate giants, right? You've got Procter & Gamble and Unilever and so many huge companies where we're still relatively small comparatively, yet we're winning in the green cleaning product space because we're doing something that's authentic, that's real, and consumers are rewarding us for that. So passion drives a lot of success in life.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of people driven by passion, Mia, I would love for you to ask another question to Dr. Shai.
Yes. So, Dr. Shai, are there any mistakes that you made that created a pivotal learning experience for you? And if you could go back in time, is there anything you wish you could have changed or done differently?
Well, Mia, as I explained earlier about my failure with nursing school and me being fearful to take the MCAT to go to medical school, I also walked away from a full scholarship during my time in Washington before I decided to move to Nashville. And some of people may look at those things as mistakes, right? At first glance, I probably would have too. But I can tell you this, I have no regrets, none at all. Meaning I wouldn't go back in time to change anything. And the reason for that is without those challenges and pivotal learning experiences, I wouldn't have this current opportunity at this current moment. And I wouldn't also be able to share those challenges and fears in order to be able to encourage other students like yourself. And I find it strange or crazy that even though I didn't take the MCAT, I have been able to mentor high school students and college students that want to become medical doctors, which is crazy. And I even have some students that I still mentor now that are currently in medical school that still reach out to me. And I just found that so fascinating that I get people coming to me asking about going to medical school, and I'm like, I didn't go. But I'm still able to encourage them to persevere and take the MCAT and get the grades and get into medical school. And so with that, if I can be a stepping stone to help someone achieve their goals quicker than I did, then I feel like I've served my purpose as a human being.
That's great. So we just have a couple more minutes with the students and teachers joining us. I'd love to pose a question that came into the chat. It looks like several students have asked more about kind of what are tips that you would have for them as teens, right? So a lot of what you've shared about research, about science, about being active in your community when you care about causes, starting your own businesses, so many great pieces of advice. Is there anything else that you would share with them specifically that you think they should be doing right now as teenagers to really help them set themselves up for success? So maybe Kelly, do you want to answer first?
Absolutely. This is such a great time in your life to take chances, explore different things, join different clubs, join different organizations. There might be something that's just a little bit of an interest to you. This is the time to check it out. Go for that internship, start that club that your school doesn't have. These are the ways in which you can really explore what really excites, motivates, and drives you. And I think that a lot of people think, okay, you go to school, get good grades, go to college, but don't forget to really pursue all the extracurricular opportunities that are available, because you never know when you might try something that really becomes so pivotal in the professional direction you want to take your life. And I think that that's important in high school. It's important in college. It's important early in our academic careers to really try a lot of things out to see really what fits.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh yeah, go ahead, Dr. Shai.
Just to piggyback off of that, I would say, you actually being logged into this right now, you're doing it. And even when I was in high school, there wasn't opportunities like this for me just to even learn about what's out there. I felt like I didn't start to learn until I was in college. So the fact that you're here on this webinar, you're learning from me, you're learning from Kelly, you're getting an understanding of the different possibilities. And so now you're able to, okay, go Google something about an exercise scientist, or you can go Google something about starting your own business. Like, use the search engine to your advantage and learn as much as you can. And then, like Kelly said, just go out and, seek internships or summer camps. There are programs that are available to you that you could do, and just take advantage of those opportunities as much as you can now. So by the time you get to college, you at least have an idea.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, because someone asked a question in the chat as well about kind of how to learn more, what are sources to get involved as a high school student. So what we're actually doing is everyone at the Kimmelman campus, we are organizing kind of a resource guide that we're going to share with everybody after. It's going to have a lot of listings of different internship opportunities, different programs for teens over the summer. Mia's participating in a program, and she even emailed me with the link to that so that I could share that with everybody as well. So we will have lots of kind of follow-up information that we're going to send to everybody afterwards. And I love that you're asking about it. And I love that both of you are talking about it, because again, it's like, yes, this is the first step. You're here, you're learning, you're hopefully getting inspired. We want to help, make sure that you can make the next step to then take an action to really be able to pursue whatever it is that you want to do. So thank you for asking about that, everyone, and we will follow up on that. Okay, so before we say a final thank you to everyone, I just wanted to make sure I just put in the chat for you all the link to the next session, which starts in just about 10 minutes. It's called Let's Tennis. The U.S. Tennis Association has put together an incredible group. You're going to hear from the hitting coaches of Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Naomi Osaka. There's going to be a nutritionist who works with the Orlando Magic NBA team, who's going to talk about how to eat like a champion. So many great resources, again, to keep coming your way during the National Day of Learning. So please feel free. Oh, it looks like someone just said you can't click the link because it's blocked. Okay, I'll go ahead and post it again. But I do just want to thank again everybody for being here. Ms. Vlahakis-Hanks, Dr. Shai, Mia, Ramon, you guys are all amazing for joining us and for being a part of today with all of our students.
Oh, thank you so much for having us, and to everyone in the audience, good luck on your journeys, and just make sure to follow your passions and live a life of purpose.
Yeah, I echo that. Thank you for this opportunity. So glad to share our past with you all, and we just hope that you go away with something, and best of luck.
Absolutely. And thanks, Mia and Ramon. Best of luck with your academic journeys as well.
Yes, thank you, Ramon and Mia, for being your interviewers. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in Let's Tennis.
Bye.
Take care.